there, I am Ricky Ticky Bobby Wobbin, and I portray the character of Ross Tweddle here on the Cultaholic Wrestling YouTube channel. Now we all know why WWE, and Vince McMahon in particular, gives the majority of his brand new WWE superstars a brand new and fancy name. It's so Vince McMahon himself can own everything about this human being, everything ever about this human being, and milk that human being and his fancy new name for every single dollar it's worth. Look at him milk that money cow, the slag. But sometimes, in the name of art, a WWE superstar's real name needs to be their in-ring, on-screen professional wrestling working name. And every single person I'm about to speak about right now fits that criteria. So let's get going with R-Truth, whose real name is Ronnie Killings. And didn't you know, dear viewer, that way back in the day when he was a part of TNA, R-Truth went by Ron the Truth Killings in one of the most badass professional wrestling names in the history of the business. Now, obviously, with a surname like Killings, there's going to be a couple of sponsors who sponsor WWE who will not be happy with the semantics that surround a name like Killings. But fear not, dear sponsor. He's not actually going to kill some professional wrestlers. He's just going to act like he is while doing some professional wrestling. He's not going to kill them. He's not going to kill them. Now, wrap your chops around this one, dear viewer. Drew McIntyre's real name is Andrew McLean Galloway IV. I had to read that one out just to be sure. Now, we've all heard how Drew McIntyre came up with Drew McIntyre mere minutes before his WWE on-screen debut. Stephanie McMahon walked up to him and said, "Hey, is Drew Galloway your real name?" He said, "Hey, lassie, yes it is." And she said, "We can't do that, pal. We need to own your person." And so Drew McIntyre was born. But you can't be telling me that Drew McIntyre into Andrew, I'm going to read it again, Andrew McLean Galloway IV is not that meme where it says, "You don't deserve me at my hair if you didn't like me at my hair." Your hair is Drew McIntyre and your hair is Andrew McLean Galloway IV. Sasha Banks' real name is Mercedes Justine Kaesner Venado. Now I get it, everybody, the legit boss Sasha Banks, it's just meant to be. It's a name, it's a nickname, as a package, it just works. But with the name Mercedes Justine Kaesner Venado, you simply do not need the nickname, the legit boss, in front of that name, because with a name like that, you know they are a boss without needing a nickname. And also, I don't know if you've heard, dear viewer, but a Mercedes is a really fancy car. And thusly, the Mercedes Justine Kaesner Venado sounds like one of those special edition Mercedes G-Wagons that a famous rapper would pay millions of dollars for, just because it's a one-off special edition and it has a floor mat that was made of a jumper worn by Freddie Mercury back in 1979 or something. Titus O'Neil's real name is Thaddeus Bullard Sr., and in the time it's taken me to say that sentence, I've convinced myself that Thaddeus Bullard Sr. is the real intellectual savior of the masses. It just sounds like the name of someone who's got their SHIT together in life, and someone who loves to tell you things that you didn't know. Not things you wanted to know, but things you didn't know, but they did know, so they need to tell you. You know that kind of person? Yes, that's right, an arsehole. Now, as we all know, Commander Azeez is a gimmick from way back in WWE history. It's a gimmick straight from the 1980s. But for a while there in WWE, Commander Azeez was known as Babatunde, a fantastically intimidating name. It's just a shame that Babatunde was Babatunde's real name. Babatunde Ayegbusi, I think I've said that right. I hope I've said that right. Is Commander Azeez's real name. And I just heard that name and it made me think of Bussy. And everyone loves a Bussy, don't they? Everyone loves a Bussy. Everyone loves a Bussy so much that Babatunde Ayegbusi would have been the biggest babyface WWE have had since Daniel Bryan way back in 2014. All that money on the table, WWE, and you've pissed it away for Commander Azeez. What are you doing? Dolph Ziggler's real name is Nicholas Nemeth, and I just find it so weird that Dolph Ziggler has been around for so long in WWE, we just accept Dolph Ziggler as a name that's not just a little bit weird. Because it is weird. It's really weird. Imagine if someone called Dolph Ziggler, that we'd never heard of before, debuted in WWE today. We'd laugh them out of town. Twitter, it would melt from the inside outwards. So naturally, Nicholas Nemeth is a better professional wrestling name, but also, to me, it sounds like someone who would be on the opposite side of the field, the battlefield, to Action Man. Action Man versus Nick Nemeth. You know what I'm talking about here, don't you? Everyone loves an action man. WWE Raw superstar Reggie's real name is Sydney Bateman, and Sydney Bateman quite clearly is a criminal from the 1970s who was based in the north of England. Mrs. Crupper's had a bloomers stolen off the washing line. That's Sydney Bateman. Les Batters Biz Whippet got punched in the hind leg while down the Rover's return. That's Sydney Bateman. A serial killer is on the loose. That's Sydney Bateman. Now, obviously, Rick Boogs is fun to say alongside the man himself and an arena jam-packed full of professional wrestling fans. But Eric Bugenhagen, quite simply, is just better. And much like Babatunde, it's heartbreaking to remember the times when Eric Bugenhagen, Rick Boogs, was known as Eric Bugenhagen in NXT. But obviously, they have to piss that away so they can own the human being and milk that money cow dry. But of course, the best thing about the surname Boogs Bugenhagen is the fact that it fits into the SpongeBob SquarePants theme tune. Who plays his guitar like he's starring in Glee? Bugenhagen. You can finish the rest of the song. It's a lovely song. Ricochet is a fine professional wrestling name, and of course it isn't one that WWE have given to Ricochet. Maybe they own it now. I don't know how trademarks work. But to me, it's too on the nose. Pew! My name is Ricochet. I ricochet around the ring like a bullet does off the wall. Pew! But the fact that Ricochet and everything you think of when it comes to Ricochet, the flamboyance, the flippy moves, the fancy stuff, the coolness, the swag. His real name is Trevor, and I think that's fantastic. And what makes it even more fantastic, dear viewer, is the fact that Ricochet's real full name is Trevor Mann, which means if we just let Trevor Mann use his real name in WWE, we could have the second coming of a real man's man in WWE. Tell me, dear viewer, you do not want to see Ricochet squeeze an orange into a cup, thusly making his own fresh orange juice. It's a gimmick he needs because he currently doesn't really have one. He's a bit boring, isn't he? Apart from the flips. A real round man. Now this one is the best of the video. Liv Morgan's real name, everybody, is Gionna. Jean Daddio. Yes, her real last name is Daddio. Imagine being her father. Hello, I am Daddio. It's just the sort of name that upon hearing it makes you want to scream out, Yas, Daddio, yas, slay, Daddio, slay. It's just a name that works on so many levels in the entertainment realm. Could she be the daddy or the person who was looking up to the daddy like Tiffany What's-Her-Face from NXT 2.0? All I know is the possibilities, they are endless, Daddio. Pete Dunne's real name, quite fittingly so, dear viewer, is Peter England. And I know that Pete Dunne already sounds quite hard as a professional wrestling name, but we all know Peter England is that random bloke in a Wetherspoons on a Tuesday afternoon, bald shaven head, pint of real ale in his hand, Brexit on his mind, the Daily Mail under his arm, racing app in hand, betting on the horses. And we all know that Peter England is the sort of person who every single younger person in that same Wetherspoons has heard a horrible story about. You know that Peter England, don't you? He bit off a horse's head. He put it in me mum's wheelie bin because she didn't say hello to him the other morning. That's Peter England. Now get this right, dear viewer. Tamina. I love Tamina. And I love Tamina even more because her real name is Sarona Moana Marie Riha Snuka Polumalu. Da 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 da. Sarona Moana Marie Riha Snuka Polumalu. It works, doesn't it? I tell you what, though, it's the sort of name you need to accompany while saying it with a dance, and I can't think any dance better than the New Day Snake Hips. Sarona Moana Marie Riha Snuka Polumalu. I don't know what to say, dear viewer. It's just a beautiful name for a beautiful soul who could well be a distant cousin of Maxwell Jacob Freeman. It's a fancy name. Now, even though I did love it when Seth Rollins would say Cesaro like he did, we all know that the name Claudio Castagnoli is just the dog's bollocks, isn't it? Now, obviously, to me, who is a simpleton and quite hard of hearing quite clearly, the name Castagnoli sort of sounds like consigliere. Yes. And I don't know about you, but the way Cesaro is, just how cool, calm and collected he is, you could see him being the right-hand man to a mafia boss in the realms of professional wrestling, not in the realms of mafia. Now we end with one, dear viewer, that you will probably disagree with, but I think is absolutely fantastic. It's so fantastic. A warm, fizzing sensation happens behind my peni when I hear it uttered by somebody with a mouth. I just think it's the most fantastic thing ever that the Street Profits, you know the Street Profits, don't you? Larger than life, the swag, the drip, the cup, Angelo's headband, everything that makes the Street Profits so bloody cool. Their real names, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, or Gary and Ken. Montez Ford is called Kenneth Crawford when he's not in the ring on Raw on a Monday night, and Angelo Dawkins is known as Gary Gordon. Just one Gary though, Gary Gordon. And I'm going for it, dear viewer, and this might just be me and my massive penchant for Coronation Street, the nation's favourite street, shining through. Let's forget about the name Montez Ford. Let's forget about the name Angelo Dawkins. Let's have Gary and Ken, the Street Profits debut, and let's make their second names Barlow. They're cousins and the descendants of Ken Barlow. Let's get Ken Barlow in WWE. It's got to happen. So there we have it. There are a number of WWE superstars whose real names are quite clearly better than the in-ring names that Vince McMahon and WWE as a whole gave them way back in the day. Who knows if this video is a rip-roaring success? I could do NXT, I could do AEW, Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling versions of this here video. So let me know via a comment if you like this video and if you want to see more. And if you can be bothered to do a comment, dear viewer, why don't you drop this a like? Why don't you share this video so all your friends can see it and marvel at how fantastic the real names of some WWE superstars are. Just, you know, do some stuff for the algorithm. We need to please the algorithm. I have been Ricky Ticky Bobby Wobbin from Cultaholic Wrestling, and I'll see you very soon.